Welcome down the hobby hole, where we try and remember the introduction to our weekly podcast about hobbies, interests, and hyperfixations. Sometimes ours, sometimes our own, and sometimes discovering new ones with guests. I am Shwabadi. I don't have any sort of attachment to that. And with me is Rustage!
Hello, welcome to the Mark episode.
He insisted that I do it from memory.
Yeah.
The introduction.
Yeah.
And I just know I missed like half of it.
Yeah. So this is the Mark episode. This is a hobby that I don't know too much about, but Mark is super fanatic. He's an expert on. He's got all of the details, facts.
We should say this. We at Down the Hobby Hole, we are not experts on
any of our hobbies.
Not any of the topics that we have talked about are we experts about.
No.
Except for rhyming. Even the ones that we... rhyming we're experts at. But, like, even the ones that are our full-time jobs, I would not say we are experts at.
Definitely not, actually.
These are just things that we are largely, casually interested in and have learned stuff about or have looked into.
Yeah.
And this week I want to talk to you about weaponry.
That's the theme song.
Weaponry. I'm not sure if it's a hobby in of itself, but it has a lot of hobbies associated with it and attached to it. My primary sort of interest in the field of weaponry is in medieval weaponry and ancient weaponry. No guns.
No guns.
Anything from like the 15th century onwards, you're in sketchy territory.
Yeah, we don't want no guns.
We're from England, all right?
Yeah, guns is a thing. Ain't get no love from me.
Yeah, I've always said that. Yeah, gunpowder is pretty much like the killing point in my interest.
No gunpowder.
No gunpowder.
No creepers. Shakira.
Oh man.
Sorry.
I just thought it would be fun to talk about weaponry as like a scholarly interest, all right? And we can just talk about our favorite weapons and what weapons we would like to use if we were either, if we got in like HEMA or something like that, or if we were in a medieval warfare for some reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's a fun kicking off point. Last week we had the Rustage Bickerline episode where you were talking about LARPing. If you haven't watched that episode, go back and watch it.
It's part of the reason why we're doing this. Because that episode was 99% Rustage. So we need the 99% Mark episode.
I had a brilliant episode, but I wanted to kick this one off by asking you about the weaponry you used in the LARP. So I think that'll be nice.
Spear.
Point. Yeah.
So I got a sword, and it wouldn't fit in my suitcase, so I didn't bring it. So I was like, well, I'll just pick up something there. And our Master of the Pike, Mad Madigan, had like 12 spears. He's like, who wants a spear? And so I got it's just a generic spear. It's nothing interesting, but it's great.
I mean that's the infantry weapon, right? That's like the infantry battlefield weapon.
Reach.
Yeah. You get a reach. Easy kill ability. Yeah. It can work against a lot of different armors. It's great. We love spears. Let's just go through some melee weapons.
Okay.
Let's talk about some melee weapons.
Let's go.
I've barely done any sort of weapon training or used any weapons. Archery, I'm a big fan of, and I've done quite a bit of that. But in terms of melee weapons, almost nothing ever. I just like watching people use them and learning about them.
Going to museums where they have lots of cool weaponry, like the Tower of London.
God, I love that.
Like the axe gun at the Tower of London.
It's so sick.
So at the Tower of London, you've got a lineup of just regular weapons, and then there's like this fucking guy who put a gun on the other side of an axe.
There's the one at the Tower of London where it's a mace.
Yeah.
But it has gunpowder in the top of the mace, so that when you hit it, it
explodes.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's incredible.
It's bizarre. It's incredible. We love it.
We love guns.
So let's
weapons. Hate guns.
Weapon. We hate guns.
No, hate guns.
We hate guns, but we love medieval weaponry. Melee weapons.
Yes.
You're on the field.
Yeah.
You have a shield.
Okay.
You're being pushed into war by a lord. More than likely, you're equipped with a spear. All right. It's the standard. It's the default. It's fine It's great. I've seen it be used very cool. There's some fun variations. The partisan spear, we saw that in
What is the partisan spear? What does that mean?
Edinburgh Castle.
Yeah.
It has a longer spearhead, more like a short blade, and it comes out to sort of like these 2 points before it reaches the haft, which is it's kind of like a crossguard on a sword, but like way up at the top of a spear, so that if you are like jabbing at someone and they're trying to get you back, you can kind of there's more of a parrying ability. Yeah. And they're really cool. They become really decorative. They're really cool. I like that. While we've got a pole in our arm, pole arms, other pole arms that aren't spears. There is so much variation.
So many.
It's insane. Pole axe. Big fan of. Leverage.
Yep. Good for fighting monsters.
Power of an axe. Oh yeah. Power of an axe is that like if you swing it, it's all concentrated in one little bit. That shit is getting through anything.
Just cuts you open.
You give me like a knight in full plate and an axe, like a pole axe, it's going through. Yeah. It doesn't matter. He's having it.
He's
Big fan
dead.
of that. Big fan of that. Not dead people generally, but like the utility of the pole axe. And why not put a fucking hook on the back of the pole axe?
Wow.
And then you've got a what's it called? Bill hook?
You can win the little duckies at the carnival game.
Yeah. Or you can drag men off of horses.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. I always see like there's like medieval illustrations of these weapons being used, which is like how we like modern day know sort of their use and who used them and when and how popular they were. It's because of all these like the tapestries, the paintings, the documents. And you look at it and it's always like some man being very cleanly pulled off of a horse by like the hook on the back of this horse. Oh no, I've been disarmed. If someone was like charging past you on a horse,
and
you take a hooked weapon and try and pull them off,
rip them down,
you're just gonna gore them.
This be
absolutely annihilate them.
Rip their entrails out.
It's gonna be horrific. I feel that for most medieval weapons, when I really think about them being used, I'm like,
this is awful.
It's lost its charm.
Yeah,
but it's HEMA. Foam weapons. Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
I don't know. It's one of those things again where like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, this isn't fun. But the more I learn about it without thinking too deeply about it, it's like there's like a bell curve somewhere, I think.
The thing about like HEMA weapons though is like the objective is offered just to hit your opponent. So the better weapons are the ones that are easier to hit your opponent with. Whilst in actual combat, the better weapons are the ones that when they hit, they do damage and they kill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I think that's why swords are so favored with like HEMA.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, I think, to like get in, parry, do your defensive work, and then score a hit.
Exactly, right.
Whereas in real life, if you did that, you would get the hit, but then maybe the hit wouldn't be.
Yeah, you'd slash them, but you wouldn't fucking kill them. If you hit them with the poleaxe, they're dead.
Yeah, but in a points system, in a sport, like the sword makes so much sense.
Yeah,
like fencing is the sport that it is. Speaking of swords, probably like the most famous historical weapon.
The sword?
There's a lot of variations of it.
The stick.
I think there's like a myth about maybe how popular and well used swords were. Because like I said, you're talking like a military situation. Everyone there is using like a weapon for their role.
Yeah.
So pikes and spears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Axes.
Yeah. I've been in there. I've been to war.
Not a lot of people have swords. Swords were also fucking expensive.
So at least for combat at Bickerleen, which I know is not real world combat, a decent amount of people had swords, and they were essentially the skirmishers, the flank. So the two shield walls would hit, the polearms over the top, skirmishers would go around the side, right, and try and drag people off or hit them, and dueling and stuff like that. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if that's the case in real world.
I mean, swords historically were more of. I mean, you had like the cheap swords as well that the peasants would use and stuff, but they were like the backup weapon.
Yes.
They wouldn't really be like. You wouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to do my like formation and tactic now. Time to pull out the sword.
Yeah.
Maybe in like ancient combat, but not so much in medieval combat.
And that's what I had when I had the pole. I don't know. This is half laughing episode. When I had the pole arm and I had the backup dagger.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I had to do when they hit my arm. I couldn't use a two-handed weapon. I, like, crawled underneath a tree with a dagger sort of tacky people in the feet.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a backup weapon.
It's a backup weapon.
So
absolutely. But I love swords. Swords, there's so much, like, creativity with swords, historically. Because it's, like, a very simple concept. It's a big, long, sharp piece of metal.
Easy.
But there's, like, so many different variations of it. I love... Have you heard of the Messer?
The Mecha?
Messer. Not Mecca.
Oh.
No. The Messer. It's a German... Messer, I think, is just the German word for knife.
Yeah.
Or, like, dagger, or that kind of thing. But it was basically... They outlawed swords in a lot of parts of Europe during, like, the late medieval period when it was like, okay, peasants, you're too well armed, you can't have bladed weapons unless you're in the military. So no spears, no swords, nothing like that. Obviously you can have knives because knives are tools. Like everyone had a knife because you would go around, you'd have to like whittle something, cut something, you would cook with it, you would eat with it. Everyone had a knife.
Yeah.
So like peasants kept pushing the definition of knife.
Yeah.
And now if you search for a Messer sword or a grosser Messer, those were, the peasants would be like, this is a knife, this is a tool. And it's just a full, gigantic sword.
But
it was like something about like the specific shape of it. They were like, this is a tool. I couldn't use this to kill someone. Are you out of your mind? It was just
That's very funny.
There's many such stories of like ancient people being like, this isn't a weapon. This is just a thing that I have for a specific task. And it's obviously a fucking weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of like peasants' tools, farming tools that were used in like revolts and stuff in different places that have become historical weapons.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what there's
like a
ninjas
sickle.
In Japan.
Yes.
Ninjas in Japan were predominantly of like the working class, the lower class, the peasantry.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the weapons would have to be made out of the things that they had access to. So they obviously couldn't get katanas.
Yes.
And I remember watching a documentary about ninja weapons, but I can't remember any of them anymore.
Oh no. Resident expert forgets.
Oh no. Resident expert relies on memory.
Like kunai and shurikens are the only ones I know.
Yeah, I mean,
but there'd
those
be
are
other stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just I enjoy the creativity of historical people.
Do you have a least favorite weapon like a weapon that just makes you mad when you think about it?
Yeah.
Like, yes. What is it?
It's the flail.
Yeah. Not a flail fan.
Not a flail flan.
He's not a fail flan.
Because it's just a mace, but worse. And like people in like fantasy settings are so obsessed with the flail for some reason.
It's cool.
It's kind of cool.
It's like a medieval nunchuck.
I think it's cool when you see it as a picture. The second it starts moving, I'm like, that's silly.
It's like a dangly little unerect penis. It's like a testicle. That's like flopping around.
But like, because I think I hate the flail because I love the mace.
Yeah, you're such a mace fan.
I'm such a mace fan.
You got
like
a mace
flanged medieval mace, a big German one.
Definitely like flanged. You love it.
Love a bit of flanging.
You love flanged maces.
Yeah, they've always said that about me.
Yeah, big flange fan.
Resident flanger.
Flange fanatic.
Yeah,
flanginatic.
But flails, I just can't get it. I don't get it. Oh, well, okay. I'm slightly going back on myself here. Flails historically didn't exist in the way that we know them in fantasy, but there were like flail-like weapons, and they were typically variations on peasant tools, like threshers and stuff that had been turned into weaponry. So it's one of those things where it's like it comes from the great innovative nature of like the people being pushed down who had to fight back against people above them, but I just don't like its modern, like the modern vision of it. That's what I don't like. So
what's the difference between a flail and a morning star, or is they just the same thing?
They're the same thing. A morning star is an actual morning star is a spiked mace.
Oh, I see. I see.
It's been like the term has been used a lot. Yeah, it's been flailified.
Yeah,
flailified. To be like spiked balls on a chain when that's not really what it means. But
I see.
That's what people tend to think of. They think of the flail now, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what that comes from. Just modern
video games, probably.
Video games, yeah.
Yeah, your fucking video games ruining my flails, my morning stars.
I think the only melee weapon I haven't mentioned so far is like a hammer and a pick, like war hammers. Have you seen them?
Oh yeah, I think so.
My first exposure to a warhammer was like seeing it in like Game of Thrones or something like that, like some fantasy stuff where they're these gigantic like slabs of metal on a big pole.
Yeah.
Real Warhammers are these tiny little hammerheads on this really long, thin pole, and I'm like, that's so disappointing.
But it has its use.
You see it used, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they will just crush helmets, and they have like a big spike on the back, which is the pick part that just like punctures on. Like they are lethal. They're crazy. But it's just so funny seeing one for the first time, having prior expectations. I was like, what is this little device that you've given me?
What is this little fun guy?
What's this little
yeah.
I can't take it seriously.
There's other melee weapons you haven't talked about.
There is. But I feel like they all tend to be variations of
blades on hands, shing, shing, coming out your wrists.
I should have mentioned this actually. There is well, it's kind of like a sword, but instead of holding the handle this way, you hold it crossed, and then it comes out.
The shiv comes out.
I think it's an Indian weapon,
maybe.
And it's like you hold this like, and your hand is guarded inside of this like metal, like sort of semi gauntlet, and then a blade comes out the front of it. It's called like a punching knife, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a local name, obviously, but and like you would just fucking get to work. You would punch with them because you have just like a giant fucking blade coming out of your fist, which like I think is a lot less versatile than just holding a sword. But God, that would be scary. If someone comes at you with that,
oh yeah. If you were a medieval guy, what would your medieval weapon of choice be?
I mean, context sensitive, right? Am I just trying to defend myself? It's just my everyday carry.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because in that case, it would be a sword.
Yeah.
Or
you're going into battle.
If I'm going into battle, I think it's gonna be sort of like a glaive or a bardiche, one of those like big blades at the end of the pole arms. They just like, they're not as good at stabbing, but I find that motion quite difficult. So I think it's kind of like a slicing anti-cavalry kind of weapon. A lot of defensive properties, and I think that's what I'm going to choose. Okay. If I'm trying to defend myself, though, I'm going to pick up something like an axe or a mace because, like they're useful, not quite as versatile as a sword, but also worth a lot less than a sword. So maybe I won't get robbed.
What about siege weaponry?
I'm glad you asked.
Yes,
siege weapons are fascinating. There's so many boring siege weapons where it's like, it's a ladder, but they attach wheels to it. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And there's like rams, which get quite intricate and cool.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever seen a trebuchet be fired?
Oh, yeah. That is awesome. It's so sick.
So cool.
Go look up a trebuchet being used. It goes...
They're insane. Whoop. And there's some like variations. Like it's so funny how like across the world, every different culture has come up with basically the same concepts.
Oh,
but
yeah.
There's like variations. Like you have like the trebuchet, you have the what's it called, mangonel. You have onagers and catapults. But there's one that I saw which is an Indian weapon. It's called a lith bolo, I think. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like it. It has the concept of a catapult wherein it launches a heavy rock at a wall to try and break some fortification. Yeah. And it looks like a crossbow. It's this giant ballista that just fires rocks. And it's really like I've just not seen that before. Like came across that semi recently, and I was like, how have I never thought of that? Yeah, I guess you could just use a giant bowstring to fling a rock. Why not?
Slings. Why not slings?
Slings
And bows.
Ranged weapons are so interesting. Have you seen atlatls? They're like spear throwers.
No.
So obviously, like the first ranged weapons were all things we could throw.
Chucking shit.
Yeah, the Romans had the plumbata, which were eventually turned into lawn darts in America, which is a fun trajectory.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just like weapons that you can throw. We had spears. They were like, how do we increase the leverage on our arm to throw a spear quicker? Oh, just have another arm. So you'd have this atlatl, which is just basically a big hook that you put on the back of your spear, and then you throw your arm forward, and then the atlatl has the extra leverage, and it flings the spear like super fast.
And you kill him, man.
Like, there's like competitions and stuff for people using like slings and spear chuckers and stuff like in the modern day, and they have like insane accuracy.
What is your favorite weapon in a video game? Like video game, like unique, iconic video game weaponry.
Unique video game weaponry.
Yeah, you know, like you know, there's a few.
There's a lot. I really like the Assassin's Creed Hidden Blades.
They're sick, right?
They're
awesome.
So iconic, and I know like modern Assassin's Creed games are a little far gone from what the original titles were. But in the original titles, like just walking up to someone in the street, like in like an empty street, there's like one guard, and you walk up and you just flick your wrist up at him and like catch him in the jugular, and it's like that's the coldest shit I've ever seen in my life, and no one has any idea.
Yeah,
there's no weapon or anything.
Including ranged weaponry, you obviously have stuff like the portal gun.
Yeah.
Or like the gravity gun, which is cool. What about the energy sword from Halo?
I was thinking of that. I thought about that because when we said like the punch dagger, it's sort of that shape where you're holding it sideways, and it's like comes around your hand. It's like a sci-fi variation. I really like the energy sword.
Keyblade?
Not into it. Don't get it.
Buster sword? How do you feel about the Buster sword?
In like, you're in a setting where there is a person who has inhuman strength.
Yeah.
Yes, give them a gigantic sword.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. Because if you give someone like the power to wield that as if it was a regular sword, like there's only benefits. So I really like Guts' sword and the Buster sword, like in the settings where it's like, yes, these people are inhumanly powerful and able to wield them, then yes, I really like them.
What about any of the guns Shadow the Hedgehog uses?
No, we're anti-gun. We don't like guns.
Okay.
No guns.
Okay.
His guns use gunpowder, therefore I don't like them.
You don't like him? Okay.
Well, I say I don't like gunpowder, but I was very impressed recently when we were at Edinburgh Castle and we saw... Oh, what was it called? We saw their giant cannon that they had.
Oh, Big Betty. It wasn't
something
called
like that. Yeah,
it was called like but it was B. It was definitely B.
It was It was BB.
Yeah.
It was big something, but it was just this massive cannon that could like launch a ball like miles and miles
to the coastline to sink shit. Like it was mental.
It was insane.
What about
that
shovel?
Kind of thing does impress me, huh?
Like Shovel Knight, shovel.
Like a shovel. You know the. I don't know if it was only in like the World War sort of era or if they still do it, but British troops are given sharpened shovels to use as melee weapons.
Ooh.
Because they have a shovel with them that is a portable shovel that's just like an all-round tool
for digging. Yeah.
And it has like a serrated edge so that they can saw through things. It's like a multi-tool that's a shovel, but it's also they're trained to use it as a backup melee weapon.
That's hilarious.
And it's like sharpened. I just find that very interesting.
What about? I'm just trying to pull out video game weapons.
Do you have a favorite video game weapon?
Oh gosh, maybe. I don't know. It must be something from Team Fortress 2 because there's some unique ones in there. Like in terms of like in the context of a video game, I love things like the sticky bomb launcher from Demo Man and stuff. Like in terms of this, like all of Demo Man's weaponry, and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not a nerd like you. I'm trying to think. Like there's not a lot. There's not a lot of times where I play a video game and it's like the weapon the guy has, it's specifically making me go like, yeah, that's sick. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to use a lot of, like lightsabers in any Star Wars games is fun.
For sure.
Right? And
I mean, my issue is you put me in almost any game setting that has like a variation of weapons. If they have a bow, I'm going to pick
using the bow. Yeah, I'm just always using the bow. And I'm only really thinking of the weapon in context of how fun it is to use the weapon as a game. Right.
Yeah.
Instead of how cool it would be as a concept weapon.
Yeah.
And so it is often stuff like that. It is often stuff like bows are really fun to use, and
I get that,
and things like that.
There's some like incredible weapons in fiction that I find like really, really interesting. I know the Stormlight Archives are not a series that you've read much of, but you're familiar with the Shard Blades from the series.
Yeah.
The Shard Blades are such an interesting concept as a weapon, and it because you'll have scenes in that series where it's like everything's just regular, like feeling pretty down to earth. steel and wood and
Yeah.
armor and just
Yeah.
like, you know, clashing of flesh, and then suddenly a shard blade shows up and the entire dynamic changes. And it's really fun to have something like that in a series. It's almost what the lightsaber feels like.
If you were to have any weapon from a video game in real life, what would it be? Maybe this is actually too obvious. Like, there feels like an obvious answer.
Obvious?
Yeah, I just get the portal gun.
Oh, you're right. I would. I'd put one in America and one here.
Yeah. I don't know how that
never
reach.
need to take a plane
They
again.
never take a plane again.
Well, I don't. Is there like? I know obviously you pass through those barriers in Portal and it gets rid of the portals that you have out.
Oh,
But
are
if
there
you
any
put,
real
like,
life
If
versions
you put a
of that?
portal like in a place and then just travel to the other side of the world
And then put the second portal down.
and then put the second portal there, would
It
they?
should be fine.
They should still connect, right?
Yeah, they should still connect, right? They will not let you take the portal gun on a plane. That is not going through TSA.
I could ship it.
Yeah, you would have to. And make
You
sure it
can bring-
doesn't
you can bring-
accidentally
you-
fire itself whilst being shipped.
True. You can bring a weapon on a plane if you're flying from America, as long as it doesn't have any ammunition in it.
Yeah,
And
but
as
it
long as
has
you declare
ammunition in it.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, they don't know what it is. They'll confiscate it and they'll be like,
They would
you go now.
confiscate it. They
Yeah.
would- yeah. That's the issue with like something like a portal gun is the second anyone sees that you have it,
It's over.
the world government will crack down on you and investigate you like an alien.
You will not have it anymore.
No.
You will not. You'll lose
You need
it.
something more low key.
Yeah.
That's less of a burden.
Lightsaber.
Genuinely, give me a lightsaber, because like that just goes in your put it in a pocket or something.
Put it in your pocket. Kill a man.
Although I don't think you can really use a lightsaber without having the Force. I think there's a link somewhere there.
Yeah,
about
you can't turn
because
it on,
it's-
right?
like,
I don't know.
you can't
I'm not a
turn it
Star
on.
Wars fan.
I'm not really a Star Wars
I've
fan,
not
but I know that
watched
like
The
I know
original
that, like-
trilogy.
oh yeah, this is true. I know that like lightsabers aren't as dangerous for Jedi to use because they have the Force, so they can manipulate it in a way that people can't. But like, if a regular human has a lightsaber, you would so quickly like cut off a limb by accident.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Do not give me a lightsaber; it's too dangerous.
Actually, don't give me
I
any
don't know.
weapon. It's too dangerous. When am I going to use a weapon?
That's true, actually.
Like, who am I gonna
This
use
isn't
a
a
weapon
weapon,
against?
actually. It's a tool.
What if
isn't
you
it?
had the blue shell from Mario Kart?
Theoretically,
Who is
you
in
throw-
first place in
That's
the,
what I'm saying.
in the world?
You throw the blue shell right now. Who's it hitting?
It's probably who's in first place? Who is the most successful person in the world right now? Is it the richest person or is it the most spiritually enlightened person?
You just fucking nuke the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, just the Dalai Lama dies. You just send it off.
So imagine like hyper anti-capitalist like extremists get their hands on the blue shell. They're like, "This is it. We're gonna throw this. It's gonna kill like I don't know Bezos or Trump
Jeff
or
Bezos.
Musk or something like that." And they throw it, and it just fucking like hits a Buddhist temple. Like,
It just kills the Pope.
yeah.
Oh
Incredible.
god. Yeah, it just kills some guy, like the happiest man in the world.
That just happened to be him. It's just
Yeah.
fucking Bjorn from Sweden.
Yeah, he's just, today is the best. I feel on top of the world. Ah! I really feel like
Oh, today could be the day.
today is the best day of my life. Has anyone ever felt this happy before? What the fuck is that?
I'm gonna cry. All right, here was my pitch for like an end of the episode segment.
Okay.
How deep are we?
Yeah, we're at time. We're at 30.
End of the episode segment. See, I just have a good feeling for it, right?
Yeah.
Is either you can create your own weapon, or because to be honest, a lot of weapons have been created, it might be difficult. Or I'm going to give you a 5-man squad and you have to arm them.
Oh, wait, so I have to create my own weapon in the realm of human possibility?
With some creative allowances.
Well, I mean, like, I can't just be like, this is a gun that makes people turn tiny.
No, you can't do that.
Okay, and I can't be like, this is a sword that makes people turn tiny.
No, you can't do. All right,
Okay.
let's just almost armor 5-man squad. You have your honor guard.
Honor guard. Honor guard.
Yeah.
He has the blade of making people turn tiny. Oh god, 5-person squad. I'd want them all to have a different weapon, and I wouldn't be thinking like what's going to be the best loadout. I'm going to be thinking what works for their character. So I'm going to make sure that they're all different colored, like they're like the Power Rangers. And you have one guy with a big fuck off like great sword, and he's like the big guy, right? And then you have somebody who has just like a singular like rapier sort of blade. He's like the finesse guy, right? And then you have the archer. They're the archer. Then you have the person called Mark's worst enemy. It's a guy with a flail.
I like the idea that the reason I hate the flail is because it's actually my weakness or something.
Yeah. So it's Mark's worst nightmare. It's a guy with 2 flails. He's coming at you.
Just.
And then I guess I'll have somebody. Have a guy called Lance who uses a spear.
Not a lance?
No.
Dude, the lance is the medieval weapon that can deliver the biggest impact.
Wow. Okay, I'll give him a lance.
Weaponry.
I'll give him a lance then.
But that's because it relies on the power of the horse. Yeah.
So he'll be on a horseback with a lance.
There you go.
Yeah. They actually all be on horseback.
Okay.
With
why
their
not?
weaponry. Yeah, why not? I am allowed to give them
It's
horses.
your honor guard, yeah.
Yeah, it's my honor guard. Wait, can I choose the animal? Dragon.
No. That's not a real animal.
Then the dragon has a breath weapon. And when you get hit with the breath
you
weapon,
have
it turns you really tiny.
You have 5 horsemen, all with different weaponry. It's great.
Yes.
My honor guard that's going up against yours, because it's a
we're
fight.
Fighting?
Yeah. It's 5 heavily armored men with anti-cavalry weapons.
I didn't know who was fighting. I'd give them all guns.
No, they're not fighting.
Okay.
We're in the medieval era, and they're just like meant to protect you and go around with you and do tasks.
Yeah.
You know,
Medieval era.
I think honestly mine is going to be similar, where I want them to have like a diversity. So I'm like, you know, this is the big guy that has a giant sword. This is like the little guy who has like a sword and shield, and he like zips in and out and jabs people. There's like a horseman who like charges past people and mows them down. Something like it would be similar, but they would all have anti-cavalry weapons specifically for your guys.
Okay.
That's the main difference.
Wow. Yeah.
No, if I actually assemble a 5-man squad, this is what I'm doing. Fine Lancer, 2 archers.
Sorry, I just had the thought that you would go final answer, and I stopped recording.
2 archers.
Yeah.
Okay. They're like gonna stick with me.
Are they lovers? 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 Are they lovers?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 2 answers.
Behind the scenes.
2. Yeah.
2 lovely archers that love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Then there'd be like 2 guys with like big long pole arms, glaives or bill hooks or something, and they just like people get close. And then I have like the fucking Gregor Clegane, the mountain from Game of Thrones. He's like fucking 7 foot tall in pure metal armor with a gigantic. Yeah.
All right, so I'm not trying to kill your honor guard. I'm going to kill one of the archers, so just to cause trauma for the other one.
Oh my god.
And then that will cause a rift because he'd be like, how could you let them die? And then that will cause like personal discourse amongst your honor guard. And that's how I would take your honor guard down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made them lovers. And that was a weakness.
Oh, but you made me make them lovers. You planted the seeds, you bastard.
Let's go, Lance.
I thought you were going to do like a voice for Lance.
Yeah! Hello, the names. Right. Let's go, Mark's worst nightmare.
This is his full name.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been the Shwabadi episode. I mean the Mark episode, because I'm on Hobby Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Mark, and this is my friend Rustage. Oh, who's there? I think someone's at your door.
No, I think somebody's at your door. It's Mark's worst nightmare busts through the room. Running.